Stop scrolling right now, because what just happened in this hearing is something you won't believe. A United States Senator looked directly at the chairman of the committee and said, "I am not afraid of you." Not quietly, not politely, but with full force, in front of everyone. And the reason? What he had just exposed moments earlier was even more shocking. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why this moment is going viral, and why it could have serious consequences. During a heated congressional hearing, Cory Booker went head-to-head with Kash Patel, and from the very beginning, something felt different. This wasn't the usual back and forth. This was controlled, precise, and building towards something bigger. Booker started calmly, asking whether Patel had discussed removing FBI personnel with the White House before even being confirmed. Patel initially denied it, but within seconds his answer shifted. He admitted he had conversations about staffing and removing those who failed to meet the mark. That's when Booker leaned in and delivered the first blow. What mark are we talking about? Competence or political loyalty? And just like that, the tone changed. Now pause for a second, because this is where things start getting serious. If someone is discussing removing officials before even taking office, what does that say about intent? Keep watching, because it only gets more intense from here. Booker didn't stop. He moved to a critical issue involving grand jury testimony connected to Donald Trump and classified documents. The question was simple. Did Patel testify that Trump declassified those documents? A yes or no question. But Patel wouldn't answer. He deflected, redirected, and avoided giving a straight response. Booker shut it down immediately, explaining the law clearly. Grand jury witnesses are allowed to discuss their own testimony. So why refuse? Think about that. Why avoid a question you're legally allowed to answer? That silence spoke louder than any response. And just when you think this couldn't escalate further, it does. Booker then brought up something that completely shifted the room. He accused Patel of not being truthful under oath and backed it with evidence. He pointed to a lawsuit filed by FBI officials claiming they were targeted and removed for political reasons. One name stood out, Brian Driscoll, a 20-year FBI veteran, a Medal of Valor recipient, someone who dedicated his life to law enforcement, fired, just like that. And the reason? A letter citing Article 2 of the Constitution. But here's the problem. Patel is not the president. So under what authority does he use Article 2? That question hit hard. And once again, Patel refused to answer. Now here's where you need to stay with me, because this next part changes everything. Booker began connecting the dots. He asked about Stephen Miller, a White House political figure, and whether Patel frequently discussed FBI operations with him. Patel admitted it. Not once, not casually, frequently. Let that sink in. The FBI director admitting under oath that he regularly discusses agency operations with a political operative. Booker didn't even need to raise his voice. The admission spoke for itself. And if you think that's the peak, it's not. Booker moved to what might be the most alarming point of all. He revealed that approximately 20% of FBI agents had been reassigned from critical duties, things like child exploitation cases, human trafficking investigations, and counterintelligence work, to assist with immigration enforcement. 20%. That's not a small shift. That's a major redirection of national security resources. Booker asked directly, are agents working on crimes against children being reassigned? Patel couldn't give a clear yes or no. Again, no denial, no confirmation, just deflection. And at this point, the pattern is impossible to ignore. Now here comes the moment that changed everything. Booker delivered a powerful conclusion, stating that these actions have made the country weaker and less safe. He described a systematic dismantling of institutional knowledge, pointing out that experienced agents were being pushed out, while replacements could take up to 14 years to fully train. 14 years. Imagine the gap that creates. Imagine the risks. And then, he said something no one expected. He looked directly at Patel and said, "I don't think you're going to be around long." The room shifted. You could feel it, but it didn't end there. When Patel tried to respond and push back, Booker cut him off immediately. "This is my time." And then turning to the chairman who tried to interrupt, Booker delivered the line that's now everywhere. "You may be the chairman, but I am not afraid of you." That wasn't just defiance, that was a statement. It was a signal that this wasn't about politics anymore. It was about accountability. And here's the bigger picture you need to think about. When questions aren't answered, when experienced officials are removed, when priorities shift away from critical investigations, what does that mean for the system as a whole? What does that mean for trust? Because sometimes the most important thing isn't what's said, it's what's avoided. And in this hearing, a lot was avoided. Booker ended with something unexpected, not anger, but a kind of warning. He said he hoped Patel would step up, defend the Constitution, and do better. But at the same time, he made it clear, this path isn't sustainable. So now the question comes to you. After everything you've heard, what do you think is really happening here? Is this just politics as usual, or something deeper? Because moments like this don't just disappear. They build. And what happens next could matter more than anything we've seen so far.